Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about my thoughts on Wizards Beyond Waverly Place episodes 1 through 9. So I did get curious and I watched the rest of it. You can watch the rest of it too on Disney Plus because the first 9 episodes are there. Most likely it will have about 20 since this does come on Disney Channel and it's more of a traditional television series. And so after that first episode, I'm very surprised. Like some of the things I guess about this show was right, and other things I was a little wrong on. Like Billy, when you watch the first episode, it really seems like she's just a clone version of Alex. Not clone as in they took her DNA and made another one. Clone as in mannerisms and stuff. She's actually very much more different than Alex. I don't know why in the pilot they tried to make her seem similar and stuff. She's not lazy. She's not a rebel. She's not a bad girl. It's just she's hard-headed and everything, but she's more considerate and compassionate and has a hard time making friends. Something Alex never had a problem with, because even though Alex's best friend was Harper and stuff, and she had a bully, the other kids still respected her because of her coolness. Like she was the outsider, whereas Billy is literally just an outsider. It is very fascinating to see the differences and similarities between both series and stuff. This is truly it depends on how you look on it. Like I said before, this is in a way like this is feel more like a reboot kind of than so much a revival, because it's so different than the original series. Like I said before, this show has no wackiness in it. Yeah, there are silly things that happen and comedic things, but if you watch the original Wizards of Waverly Place, then you know it's wacky, because of the simple fact it was in that wacky era of Disney Channel. Whereas this one's in more of that melancholy, a little bit more serious and a little bit silly era of Disney. And it's kind of like a cross between the Zoog Disney and the Disney wacky era and stuff like that. And so because of that, when you do watch this series, if you're expecting it to be exactly how it was in the original with all the off the wall kind of stuff, then you're going to be disappointed, because all that off the wall stuff just doesn't happen here. Like I said before, there's silliness and there are things that where, like, Billy will mess up and it has to be fixed and stuff like that, but it's not the overall wackiness of the original series. In every episode of the original series, there was just like this magical thing happening and that magical thing happening and this bizarre thing appearing and this thing talking and genies and all magic carpets and dragon dogs and like all kind of stuff like that, right? But in this series, if I had to truly describe it, it's a watered down version of the original series. There are still magical creatures that appear here and there. It's just not as nutty as it was in the original. There's still CGI going around, like with the magic and stuff like that, but it's not constant unless you just see Billy waving her wand and making like sparkles come from her wand, or like smoke and everything, and that's about it. And like I said before, yes, the CGI is a million times better than that of the original series, but the original series was groundbreaking for its CGI because of the time in which it was in. And so like it's weird because this is called Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, but there's not really much wizardy type stuff truly going on like in the original. Like, take Smarty Pants, right? The great thing about the original is that the original was kind of like Harry Potter meets Disney Channel. And so that's what Wizards of Waverly Place was about. You had Smarty Pants and everything. You put the pants on, they tell you whatever you want to know. And like, you keep them on too long, you get skeleton legs. Then there are the pants or that jacket that makes you run like the Flash. Or like, it's been a while since I watched the original, so I can't really think of too much. The whole make pancake spell, it's been forever, man, since I watched the original. I can't even think of some of the stuff that they used to do, but it was just always wacky. And they was always in the lair, which they are sporadically in the lair in this series and stuff. Even magic has now changed over the course of time, about 15 years or so since the original series and stuff. Like, if they wanted to go someplace, all they had to do was wave their wand and teleport there in a flash of light. And if they wanted to go to the wizarding world, they had to go into the lair, open up the magic door, and walk through. Now it's completely different. Now the teleport, you just have to go through a mirror. Not sure why that changed. Also, if you wanted to contact another wizard, you use your wand, you go beepity boppity boopity boop, and pretend like it's a phone, and you can talk to them that way and leave a message. Now you leave a message by like a magical butterfly. And if it's somebody higher up, they'll send you a messenger frog and everything. So much more different than what the original series, used to be. And that's because the original series was, what was it, back in 2006, 3, something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just different times. They really used their imagination with that show. Here, they're not using their imagination that much. Now, like I said before, don't get me wrong. It's a good series and everything, and I do like the maturity of it. But who is this really intended for? Is it intended for the older fans that love the original but now have a slightly more mature take on the show? Or is it for more younger people? If it's for more younger people, wouldn't they want something more wacky? And as for the older people who will appreciate the more mature stuff, they're gonna want the wackiness as well, because that's what made the series. It's them using their magic to the fullest and whatever your imagination can think of. You know what I'm saying? That's what was so great about like the original. Another thing that made the original so great is that you had 3 young wizards. Now you have just Billy so far. Just in the first 3 episodes. And then of course Justin, which they still don't explain how he got his powers back. Even in the 3rd episode, they literally said he used to be a wizard. Then he stopped. Then he got his powers to go teach. Then he doesn't have his powers no more. But then how the heck did he get his powers again at the 1st episode? His power, was his powers taken away? Were they not? Or was he just not using them? That part still is not clear. And, and I wish they would make it more clearer and stuff, because there are certain continuity issues from that of the original series. That's the problem with having a show that lasted for about 4 or 5 years, is that you got so much lore, and if you don't go back and watch that lore, then you're gonna make continuity issues, which this show is so far doing. And I can accept the fact that certain magical spells have advanced and changed and everything. Instead of waving your wand and teleporting, now you can just walk through a mirror. But if you're gonna change the magic, change it to where it's more interesting. Walking through a mirror is not interesting. Waving your wand around and literally just teleporting wherever you want to go, you can just think of, is a whole lot more convenient and stuff. And so with this series, I wish they had more magical stuff, you know what I'm saying? More and more wackiness. Also with this series, it could have made it without Justin. You know what I'm saying? They really could have. There's really no need for him to be there, other than, hey, remember, we have somebody from the original series, and look who it is. That's all it is. And see, we are both series are related to each other, but they literally could have created this series, without him. And then also with the whole continuity problem, because he shouldn't even have magic, because he married a mortal and had mortal kids, and his kids are supposed to be, half wizards and stuff. But, this is just still banking off just the first 3 episodes. I still got more to go. And so it's kind of like I really wish they would either just say, you know what, forget being original, let's just do what the original did, but then add in a new twist. That's what I really wish they would do, because I do miss that wackiness of the show. I do miss all the magical stuff of the show, because I was an adult in college when the original Wizards of Waverly Place came out, and I loved it. I was watching every week. I was watching reruns. I was buying whatever DVD they had. You know what I'm saying? So being an adult, like, it didn't matter how wacky that show was, it made it fun. And I need that element of fun in this new series. And there's not enough of the element of fun. Now, in terms of the characters, pretty much they are the way I said they were, like in my first review. Justin is still just Justin from the original series, but only from the first two, maybe three. He still looks the same. He still acts the same. He doesn't act like that jerk from the later seasons. I wish that he would have had his longer, shaggier hair, because in real life, before he ever did this series, he was starting to grow his hair out. That would have been a nice look in contrast to that of the original Justin look. And like, you know, in terms of his wife, it's Giada, I think her name is. At first, I thought she was more like the mom, but I said with a little bit of Harperness. Nah, I see total Harper in her. She's always wearing skirts. Harper was always wearing dresses. The red hair, the silliness of both characters and everything. And you can tell that she's basically just like a Harper clone. It's just she doesn't dress the way Harper does. And she's not as silly as Harper. But then there's Winter, who is also a Harper clone, but doesn't dress as eccentric, but has that bubbly personality and is the best friend. You have Roman, who is the jerk version of Justin, not and a little bit the dorkiness, but mostly the jerk one. And you have Milo, who's smarter than Max, but still a little bit silly, goofier than Max. He's the youngest, so he's the silliest, you know what I'm saying? But he's not as silly as Max or dumb, because Max was too dumb to function. And everything. Let's see what else. I do like the fact that there is something after Billy, because there is some type of Green Phantom thing and a bunch of something or another want to absorb her magic, because that is the big twist of the show, the big driving force of part of the show, which separates it from the original. So she is literally destined to save like the world, but we don't know exactly how yet in the first couple of episodes and stuff. And so that is a nice contrast to that of like the original series. And what is it? Now the other big thing is that Justin is supposed to teach Billy how to be a wizard, but so far you don't really see him teach, you know what I'm saying? Cause it's like something will happen, she'll use her wand when she's not supposed to, and he's all like, I'm giving you a lesson right now. Take this wand and say these words and this and that, and she'll do it. But you was expecting for him to like to teach, but I guess that would be too similar to that of the original. Now, in terms of Billy, I like Billy. She's cool. I love the fact that she's not a direct ripoff of Alex. Alex was, I always wonder, how did parents ever truly feel about Alex? She was hard-headed. She was a bad girl. She was a rebel. She constantly got in trouble. Even when her family would be in need, like Justin turned into like a dog werewolf thing, she could have cared less, and only time she wanted to help him was that she didn't want to be stuck with Max. And so she's a very selfish person, which Billy is the opposite. Billy is not selfish. You know, Billy is very considerate. She tried to fix the Russo's breakfast in the morning, but with magic and everything. She does everything with magic. So she's a little bit of Alex, not really. She's about 10-20% of Alex. And I do like that because she gets to be her own character and not just a ripoff, you know? And so that's like really cool. But she does have a little bit of Alex tendencies. Like she's always using her magic when she's not supposed to. Another thing about Billy is that you assume she's a bad girl because she keeps saying she gets kicked out of every place she stays at. And, and so she doesn't have a place to stay. And that's why she's with like Justin and this and that. And then when she thought Justin didn't want her, she ran away. And it's kind of like when you watch her, she's not really bad like Alex. She's just hard-headed and likes to use her magic because she's not from the real world. She's used to using magic all the time. And she's so used to the magical world that she doesn't even know what mortal stuff is. Like, she doesn't even know what a lab partner is. And I think she called like a cat, like by another creature's name and everything. So it's kind of like, she's that oblivious from the real world. And I'm wondering, like, when you watch the original series, wizards knew what mortal stuff was. So I don't know why they're doing it for this series. Now, one huge missed opportunity, which I don't know why they rushed into this, is revealing that they're wizards. I thought that would at least dragged on for a couple of episodes or a season. Because, Justin's family had no idea of his past or magic. But then in the first episode, they spilt it to the boys that they're wizards, and now the boys know about magic. Then in the next episode, the wife, who is a private investigator, they could have really milked that. The wife getting suspicious, using her detective skills to figure out what the heck's going on with her husband and Billy and everything, only to find out for herself and see if she's okay with it or not. But what did they do? They rushed it in the second episode, and she finds out that they're wizards. Then in the third episode, Winter, who is the friend of Roman, Billy wants to really badly be her friend because Billy is lonely and has no friends. So she's doing everything she can magically to make Winter happy. Then she's all like, well, if we're friends, then guess what? I'm a wizard. And it's just like, so of course, Winter don't believe it until all the phantom stuff starts to happen. And then all of a sudden she believes it. And I'm just kind of like, really? They're just like telling everybody now, not every main character knows they're wizards when they're not supposed to know. That was the fun of the original series. Harper and Zeke had no idea. They had to keep it from them, especially Harper, until it got to the point where it was about time Harper knew. Then it became even more special because she got to help around and stuff like that. But here, all that specialness just went away out the door because they're trying to be so different from the original series. And I get that, but they should have let it drag on for a little bit longer. That could have built up some really good tension and some really good drama between Justin and his family, because he's keeping this major secret about this girl and himself from his family. And everything gets spilled within the first 3 episodes. And then Winter finds out. Seriously, it's like you don't rush stuff that fast. Because the whole thing between Billy being so powerful and these phantoms and other stuff want her magic, it's supposed to be interesting, but so far it's just kind of lacking in the interesting department. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh, okay, that was fascinating in the first episode, but then by the second and the third, you just kind of like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the whole wizards versus angels things or wizards versus vampire things or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not really, they getting to the point, but this is what they're dragging on. And that whole big reveal and everything. I'll get to the characters a little bit later. I want to talk about some of the episodes. So episode 1 I've already reviewed, and it's pretty fun and everything. It was pretty safe, but you have introduce the family. Alex comes back, she introduces Billy, and Billy reveals to the 2 boys that, she's a wizard. And to prove it, she creates a monster, a flugie and everything. And the flugie is just this cute little monster thing that when it hits you with a beam ray, it freezes you. So they have to hide little Milo from the parents. But then the flugie froze the wife, Gigana and everything. And so everybody's putting in like the frozen people in the garage, and they reveal the secrets and everything. And Justin like later on reveals to Alex, about the whole Wiz Tech thing and how he feels like a failure and why he gave up on magic and all this other stuff, right? And so Alex gets frozen, and then Justin and Billy team up to take down the monster, which is all part of Alex's like idea to like give the confidence back to Justin. We also find out what happens to Max. Somehow he's a billionaire and owns tons of sandwich shops. I don't know how, because the boy was too dumb to function. And Alice is part of the Wizard Tribunal. Now the thing about the family that we got told and stuff, I liked the episode. It was fun. It had like some seriousness. It had some melodramaticness and everything. But finding out what happened to some of the Russos was just kind of a little bit annoying. See, one of the problems I always had with Alex back in the old days is that she is a slacker. She's a bad girl, she's lazy, and she's really good at magic, but she misuses it and everything, and she's not book smart. But of course, we already knew she would become the family wizard because the show revolves around her. And a problem with that, and now that she's older and part of the tribunal, she's more mature. We never got to see that maturity and progression between series, but it's kind of like the lesson is, hey, you can slack off, be lazy, and like, be hard-headed and everything. And not only will you be the family wizard, but you get to be part of the tribunal. I don't like that lesson and stuff, Like, it's just like every good thing happens to this family, because you got Justin, who's an overachiever, very book smart, very good with magic, a bit arrogant and everything. And he's a colossal failure in life. And what kind of lesson is that? The slacker gets the good stuff. The dumb kid gets to be a millionaire. And the overachiever is just down in his dumps. You know what I'm saying? And it's just kind of odd. I wish they would have made their adult lives a little bit more realistic. Or at least Alex and Max, you know what I'm saying? Like, we needed something in between before this new television show came out. But the whole Max being so dumb that now he's a millionaire and owns all these businesses is just bizarre, man. It's just weird and bizarre. But then you get the second episode, and that's where we get to see more of Billy's, like, her actual real personality. She's nice, she's kind, she's considerate. She's trying to make breakfast for, like, the family that took her in, because she's really thankful of that and everything. But she ends up, like, doing something. I think it might have caused the mom to find out about wizards, or no, something with the brothers. Justin doesn't want her doing magic, and I think she did magic, and the boys saw that, and they're gonna tell on her. No, now I remember. They still don't know their dad's a wizard, and she spilt the beans to the boys, and the boys are freaking out like, yo, we gotta tell dad about this. And she tries to erase their memories by going back to the lair and using the Wizipedia. Now the Wizipedia is cool, but I don't like the fact that he looks like Professor Crumbs, because Professor Crumbs, the actor who played him, is dead. So I'm just kind of like, couldn't they make the dude look completely different? But anyways, I get it's an homage, but still, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause that just makes me think of the dude now, And so, like, it has her create an erase potion. She thinks it's for the mind, but he didn't know what she meant, and it meant for the body. When she has the potion in front of the boys, they knock it out her hand. And Milo's top half is gone, and Roman's bottom half is gone. And it makes for a pretty hilarious episode. And I like the CGI involved. I like how the two boys stand next to each other and pretend to be one whole body. But then, of course, Justin gets the wand and he fixes it. So that was a fun little episode that reminds me a little bit of like the original series. Plus, Justin's wife, we get to see more of her and find out about her job. She interrogates Justin. He mistakes it because he thinks, oh no, she found out that, he's a wizard. But then she was just trying to find out what Billy likes. so she can decorate the room. And so he lies a little here and there. And she put like a picture of Wanda Wanda Sykes in her room. So that's funny seeing that picture and stuff. But eventually she does find out. Now, knowing that she's a private eye, like I said before, they could have got so much mileage out of that, of him hiding the secret, kind of like Harper, and like, her trying to figure it out and all this other stuff. But just in the first 2 episodes, now the whole family knows. But then Billy gets upset and runs away from home because she thinks Justin doesn't want her because she's been kicked out of every place she's literally been. He goes to find her and tells her it's not like that, and they leave when they're in the Wizarding World at like a bus stop, and then we see this green mist thing, which is now known as the Phantom, who can sniff out, who uses their magic, and they're looking for Billy. So now the more of this plot is starting to take shape and everything, which I'm glad they're like moving it along faster, The third episode is where we meet Winter. We get to see Justin at work, and they get to go to middle school because remember, they're not at Waverly Place. They're in another part of New York now. And so, we find out that Justin is the vice principal, and he has an assistant. And it's Billy's first time at a mortal school, which she's very uncomfortable at. She wants to fit in. She wants lots of friends. She wants to know who the cool kids are, but things are not going her way. We get to see a different side of her, a more vulnerable side, a more her wanting to be accepting and stuff like that. When it doesn't work out, she literally befriends Winter, who happens to be the friend of Roman. Now, this is interesting because on Wikipedia, it just literally says, Billy's, best friend. And, of course, that makes Roman upset because he's having his friend stolen. Because the way that, Billy is sucking up to Winter is, through magic. But Winter has no idea yet. And so, this is an interesting take and I like it because it's different from the original. Because Winter is the Harper clone of the show, right? And so Harper was only friends with Alex. At one point, she became friends with Justin, but that was about it. Plus, Harper had a massive crush on Justin. Now, Roman is a Justin character and he's best friends with the Harper character. And it seems like he might have a crush on her. Because when she got stolen from him, he kept calling her my winter, and everything. And he was upset with Billy about that. Now, also, the Phantom shows up in this episode. And he possesses that of Roman. But then he later tries to get at, Billy. Because Roman stole the wand of Billy. So he assumed that, so nobody knows what this powerful witch looks like. So, this ghostly, spirit thing just, took Roman. But then he later tried to get, what's her name, Billy, until Justin came in and stopped it. And then him and Billy, he just basically gives her a wand and tells her, here's a lesson for you, say this spell. And so they trap the little Phantom thing. So now they know the Phantom is after Billy and everything. Now, in the next episode, the fourth episode, is the Halloween episode. And we actually learned some rules about the Wizarding World that we never knew before. Stuff that they're making up for this show. I get it because in the last, series, there wasn't much lore around this. But apparently, they go all out for, Halloween, and they decorate their front porch. This is to keep away a mythological creature known as Pumpkin Belly away. But Justin says it's just a myth. There's no such thing. But Billy believes in it. And not only that, but she misses a wizarding type of Halloween. She thinks that the Halloween in the mortal world is kind of lame. So next thing you know, she starts to hear all these noises, but it turns out to be the family members. The noises were warning signs of Pumpkin Belly. So of course she's a little disappointed, you know what I'm saying? until the real pumpkin belly, which is a skeleton hand, and it's also another creature. Like they didn't show the whole body, they just show like a drawing, but it's like a giant skeleton hand that grabs them, and when we see them next, they're inside like the belly that looks like the inside of a pumpkin. Tons of candy and sodas and stuff like that. She can't use her magic to get out, but apparently Winter is in there because Winter stole their decorations, went to their house, and I guess it ate them or ate her before, like it ate them. Or so, I don't know. It was just a weird coincidence. I wish that could have been written a little bit strongly and stuff, because it's kind of like, okay, if it went to Winter's house and Winter's not a wizard, then why doesn't it go to every other mortal's house? And you see what happens when you try to create new lore in a series that's already existed and stuff. So in a way, they realize they can give it a tummy ache by making something explode in his belly. Some menthols and some soda. And that's how they get out. And so in the next episode, is basically Justin becomes like the principal of the new school. But Billy ends up shrinking him when she orders something off the Wizard Wide Web. So we have to do with this whole Justin being shrunk and Billy's trying to help him get the position, but he's screwing things up. And she has his back by talking to like the superintendent. Not only that, but my Roman has ordered like, you know, a muscle shirt, and it's making him the coolest kid in school, but it's giving him an ego. So Winter literally just rips it off him and have to teach him a lesson. This is probably the most Wizards of Waverly Place type episode there is, that reminds me so much of like the original series. And also we get a little teacher lesson between Justin and Billy, which we don't get that much of in this series, which is kind of odd because that's supposed to be the premise of this show. Now, once you get to about the 6th episode, this is when things start to really ramp up and it starts to feel more like the original Wizards of Waverly Place. There's more of like, you know, them creating stuff with magic, and oh no, they have to like stop it because, you know, something bad will happen or something like insane or a little wacky what happened, you know what I'm saying? So it's starting to build back up that wacky factor. Not as strong as the original series, but a lot more than those first 5 episodes. So I don't know why those first 5 episodes were a bit on like the tame side, you know what I'm saying? I just would have went full in, you know what I'm saying? And so when you get to the 6th episode, this is, I believe it's the episode where Billy wants like more followers and stuff at school. You know, they all have like tablets, and there's like this, I don't know, kind of like a social media type site for like the school. And so, you know, she wants more followers, more fans, stuff like that, you know, friends and everything. So, of course, what does she do? She uses magic for it, and it backfires to where people literally become obsessed with her in a zombie-like way. So everybody in school is constantly following her around. She shifts the spell to that of Roman. Now everybody is following him and, like, you know, signing his petition he wants to, like, you know, happen and stuff. But the problem with this spell is it clearly, like, they will follow you and be so obsessed with you, they want a piece of you and they will rip you apart. So her and Gigana, that's her name? I keep forgetting the mom's name. Gianna, something like that. Like, starts breaking all the tablets because that's the only way to break, like, you know, the spell and everything. And so, you know, this was like a really cool episode. Like, it really reminded me a lot of like the original Wizards of Waverly Place. And then so, I think the 7th episode might be the float episode. So there's like some kind of like, I guess, like pep rally type thing, and it's like a float and she wants to do it. She never got to do it at her old school and stuff. So once again, she uses magic to make a float because Roman doesn't really like the way that, like, you know, the people at school help make it. But the float actually floats. So now it puts the 3 kids' life in danger as they're floating around up in the sky and stuff like that. and they go over an airport, which alerts the military, and they send like a jet fighter after them. So she has to think of like a spell in order to, like, bring them down, and bring them down fast she does. And part of the reason for this is because, Justin was trying to teach her a spell, but like she was doing something. Like, I think I can't think. It was something. She didn't want to pay attention to his lessons and stuff because she learns at a different speed, similar to that of Alex. Once you do start to get into like this sixth to the ninth episode, then Billy starts to revert back to acting like Alex. I wish they would like make up their mind. Do they want her to be like Alex or do they not? You know what I'm saying? But so now she's starting to be a little lazy and don't want to read books and stuff like that. This is the episode where we get Jerry and everything. Jerry has returned, and it was kind of odd when he returned. Like, is this really him, or is this like a hologram, or like what? So, like, of course, when this show got announced, I think Jennifer and David DeLuz didn't know this show was being created. Fans got a little pissy and everything. Then next thing you know, some of the family members are going to make appearances on this show. The mom, Max, and the dad. And so there's this little thing, kind of like a wizard hotline, where if you need help with a spell, they'll help you. So Jerry is there, and it's in the wizarding world, and you get sucked through the phone, and apparently Alice used to use this. But for some reason, Jerry is there, and it's just like, it was just the most random thing. Like, why is he here? He doesn't have no magic, so why is he here? And how did he get there? Because he has no magic and stuff. And so, like, he helps her with the spell. She lies and says, it's not for homework. It's about like a troll and like an ogre or something like that. And so next thing you know, when Justin goes there, he has a heartfelt talk with his dad. His dad tells him, hey, look, man, Billy's just like Alex. She doesn't learn the way you do. And so it's a big like moment between like these two, you know what I'm saying? And it was cool to see Jerry, and then, he got to see his grandkids. But then we find out that he was only volunteering there. Still odd that he's there. Still is odd that, like, Justin still has his powers while he's married to a mortal in there. That don't make no sense from the original series. Also, the boys aren't training to be wizards because something Milo said. I'll get into that a little bit later. Oh, also with the whole following episode, that was a good lesson on social media because so many people are obsessed with followers and all that crap. But anyways, by the 8th episode, Justin loses his wisdom teeth, right? So apparently he has a toothache and he's being a butthead and everything, and he's so grouchy that Billy's just going to use magic for it. So with the help of Winter, they use a spell and they yank out his wisdom teeth. This takes away his wisdom. So now he's acting like a teenage kid, like, like totally cool, dude. Like cowabunga, like that. You know what I'm saying? Going surfing, skateboarding in school, being completely unjustin-like. So she realizes that she has to put him back. Because apparently when she uses her magic and how powerful she is, she uses it too forcefully and everything. Then we get to the 9th episode that ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger. They brought back this whole Billy is like, destined to like save the world, and there are people after her. So her and Roman, who mostly always hang out with each other, he's talking about, magic's not that hard. I'll be able to figure it out if I was a wizard, but it skips a generation. I'm like, wait, hold up. I don't ever remember it skipping a generation in anything. Because Jerry was a wizard, his kids were a wizard. Maybe that is a rule. I'm just probably forgetting it. Because I remember that Spy Kid dude that was on the show. He was a wizard, but his parents didn't appear to have magic. So maybe, just maybe, that's why his kids don't have magic. But anyway, So, like, there's a spell where you can give your powers to, like, a mortal. There are tons of spells, but they went to a completely different route for this show. So it's like an hourglass, you flip it, it gives them the powers. You ain't supposed to do it. You can go to jail and everything. And so Billy is supposed to be tested on how well of a wizard she is. Now, the woman who's supposed to test her, she is very famous. She is from one of those NCIS shows or something like that. And I'm glad they're bringing back like famous celebrities to guest star. That's something they used to do back in the original series. However, two of those former people have done some naughty things. So that hasn't aged well. Now, one of those people who did a naughty thing at one point in time that kind of ruined his career has sadly passed away. His naughty thing, it wasn't as like naughty as the other guy. The guy who played like the uncle, the guy who played the uncle did a really naughty thing. The other dude with the big smile on his face just did like a no type thing. But the uncle, don't know what he did on that other show, but it was bad. And so I'm glad they're vetting people, and I'm glad they're bringing back celebrities. So, of course, you probably figure out what probably happened. If she switched powers and she's supposed to do this big test, then they have to pretend that Roman is Billy. And he's kind of okay with magic and kind of not. But then he realizes it's a lot harder than he thought. But once the teacher found out that they switched powers, Billy switched her powers with him, then all of a sudden the person shapeshifts into like an evil person. Some shapeshifting woman, I don't know who she is. Justin shows up, she ties everybody up. Then once the spell is over, Billy, defeats the bad guy and everything. And apparently Justin was talking to Alex on the cell, which is weird because they normally supposed to talk it on like the wand, but hey, whatever. I would appreciate them talking on the cell phone wand and not an actual cell phone. So I want them to go back to using the wand as a cell phone and not an actual cell phone. All right. And so like, he said that, another person is coming after Billy and he doesn't understand what is so special about her and all this other stuff. So then towards the end, we see the person in jail, and a person in a hooded cloak comes there and won't say nothing. And I'm assuming kills the shapeshifter. They did some spell with purple mist swirls around them and they disappeared. And so I'm assuming that this hooded figure killed that of like, the shapeshifter lady. Who is this hooded figure? Don't know. Won't find out until the rest of the episodes drop and everything. But I am glad that they finally brought this back up because it's been a couple of episodes and everything. So they're kind of pacing themselves when it comes to that. But I wish they would amp up more about like this prophecy, who this organization of evil wizards are. Like, is it going to tie to the original series? Like, who is it going to be? I hope it's somebody I recognize from the original series because, I don't want it to be a completely new person. That would be so much fun if it was like somebody from back in the day. Or somebody who was good who has now turned evil. That would be even more funner, you know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that of like, like the episodes and everything, the first 5, while good and yes, while funny, they're a bit tamed in my opinion and a bit watered down from what Wizards normally is. It doesn't bring on that extreme whack factor, you know what I'm saying? But then once you get to episode 6, then it starts ramping up with the wacky factor. And that's what I want and everything. I wanted to be mature, but I also wanted them to bring that wackiness, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what I remember from back in the day, and that's what I love, and that's what Wizards should be about, So in terms of the cast, I think the cast is great. They picked a really good cast who's really funny, who can really deliver their lines and everything, and be very believable. And so, of course, I've already talked about Billy. She's kind of like an Alex clone. Sometimes she's lazy. Sometimes, like, She's a bit like cocky and everything, and she's very hard-headed. You tell her to do something, she does the complete opposite. But she's not a bad girl like Alex and everything. She's not a rebel, and she has a softer side and everything, a compassionate side. And I like that. Because, you don't want somebody to be a complete clone of like the originals, because then just go watch the original series. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I've noticed something about her. She kind of acts like the actress. She kind of acts like Raven Simone sometimes. And she even sounds like her at times and does her mannerisms. I don't like Raven Simone. You know that. So that kind of irritates me when she starts to talk and sound like her. And I'm all like, see, right there. She should have played one of Raven's kids. You know what I'm saying? And she even matches the complexion of like Raven Simone. So I never understood why the people who was cast as her kids played her kids when they don't act like her and the complexion isn't as similar as Raven Simone. She would have played a perfect Raven Simone like child and everything. But anyways, I've noticed that they're trying to bring back that old Disney formula. And I already said that. Remember when I said that the actress who plays Billy, she sings the intro along with Selena? That's something that hasn't happened in a long time, where the lead sings like the intro. Another thing I just now noticed when watching all the episodes, well, the first 9 that is the way Billy dresses. It's that old Disney formula. Something I thought they was done with. Billy is the only person on the show who dresses fancy. She got those nice clothes and everything. That's an old Disney formula where the lead actress literally dresses in the best clothes, very stylish and everything. Something to where your young kid would see, be like, mommy, 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 I want to dress like that. You know what I'm saying? And that hasn't happened in a while because, in the last couple of Disney series, people have been wearing regular clothes. I don't want to go back to that old Disney formula. I don't want to go back to them Disney Channel trying to make like a singer out of an actress, giving them this huge fashion sense and making them a role model. Because we all remember what happened during that wacky Disney era. All those role models and everything have done bad things to the point where Disney literally wants to erase them from history. I don't want to go back to the days of Miley Cyrus. I just don't. Nickelodeon tried that too. And it backfired on them just like it backfired on Disney Channel. It literally created monsters and everything. All these like high paying young celebrities who went and did some bad stuff. Don't do that, all right? Just do what they've been doing for the last couple of years and make sure that these young stars don't do nothing bad. But then again, when you look at that newer formula they had, while the shows were good and they had a fan base, for whatever reason, Disney Channel just got rid of them and stuff. And some of those shows that they had to get rid of was supposed to make way for new shows like this. So, yeah, and everything. Justin is literally Justin. Like, there's no way to even describe that. He looks the same. He acts exactly the same from the first 2 seasons of the original series. He even still twirls his wand around. I like when he does that. But I wish they would explain more about what happened at WizTech. They only brought it up in 2 episodes, but mainly in the first. And briefly in like the 7th or 8th episode. And they'll probably explain it more in the rest of the season, but I want them to hurry and get to it. Like, they really need to explain what's going on. Does he have powers or not? Because even his dad said, I just assume you just didn't want to do anything magical, since like what happened to WizTech and blah, 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 stuff like that. So apparently he still does have his powers. He just never used them. So his powers never got taken away. He just doesn't use them. But once again, how in the heck does he even still have his powers? They should have been taken away the moment he fell in love with a mortal. Oh, wait. I'm now thinking about it. I think in order to lose your powers, not only do you have to marry a mortal, but you have to tell your spouse. And he never told her. So that's how he still has his powers. But why does he still have them now? His entire mortal family knows that, um, he used to be a wizard. So with that said, he shouldn't even have his powers. And you know what? I've been getting a strange vibe from the wife. Like she doesn't act evil. Okay, I'll get into that a little bit later. But maybe also you lose the powers if you're the family wizard. But then no, you should lose them if you're like, I don't know. Let's get into the wife. Now, there's something else that's really confusing about when it comes to Justin in the timeline. He's 30, how old? 32, and his oldest son is 12. So he would have had him when he was 22. So when exactly did him and his wife meet? Because wasn't Justin like 18 or something when the show ended, the original series and stuff? So how long was he the headmaster at WizTech? And he would have to have met her when he was still a wizard, and he would have to give up his powers. But yet he never gave up his powers, he just put them aside. I mean, how do you miss that crucial plot line from the people who created the show and the people who starred in the show? Like, I don't get that. Also, somebody need to get Justin some new shoes. Them loafers are butt ugly. Okay, so his wife, Gigana. I love her, man. She's awesome. And whew, I'm so glad they picked a woman with some meat on her bones. Like, I get so tired of all those skinny moms on Disney Channel, man. Because, Disney Channel moms are always hot. But this time, they got a woman with, like, some weight to it. I'm like, yeah. That's a good-looking woman. She reminds me too much of, what's her name? Harper. Red hair, weight, the goofy attitude and everything, the bubbliness and everything, always wearing like skirts or dresses and stuff. She reminds me so much of Harper. So I guess that was like, I don't know if that was intentional or what. But the wife, okay, she's not a private investigator, she's a journalist, okay, but they still could have got mileage out of that, of her trying to figure out Justin's secret, you know what I'm saying? And I do like how they have the mom in every episode and actually doing stuff. That was one problem I had with the original, that the mom sometimes would barely appear on the show, or when she does appear, she doesn't do nothing but mom stuff, or just to nag at her family because she doesn't like magic. And that's probably because the actress was always busy doing voice work and stuff. Because, she was Hot Girl on Justice League. But like, because I used to love the original mom, from the series, and I always wanted to see more of her. So I'm glad they're showing more of this mom, and she's very active. And just like the original series, she mostly hangs around the younger child. But she doesn't hang around her husband that much, like Jerry and Teresa used to. Now, I've said this before. I find it weird that when she did find out about magic, she didn't, like, she was shocked, but she wasn't like overly shocked and surprised. You know what I'm saying? Like, she just wasn't like, I don't know, man. She just wasn't like all that, like, oh my God, there's a magical world and this and that. But she even said, like, she told Justin, is anything gonna change now that magic's gonna happen? Of course it does. And she freaks out like a lot, like, whenever there is the magical stuff. But what if it's all a ruse? Think about it. What if she's the person in the cloak who wants Billy's magic? That would be so interesting, and that would be like a huge oh my God moment, that she's been playing Justin this entire time. But at that same time, if she know, because I don't know, because okay, when she found out about magic, I thought for sure she was gonna say, "Oh, I got some good news for you. I'm a wizard too," because of the way she was kind of like leaning up to that, but it didn't happen. And I'm just kind of like, could that be why he didn't lose his magic? Because if you tell a mortal, bam, you ain't supposed to like, keep your magic and everything. That's why they couldn't let the wizarding people know about Harper. And she was just a friend. But if you marry one and fall in love with one, you have to give up your powers. And if you tell them, and she knows and he ain't lost nothing yet. So it's kind of odd and weird. And it makes me wonder, is she a magical creature, or is she just really a wizard, or is she part of that evil group? Because she's never around when all the evil stuff is happening. She was playing pickleball with her son, and the other time she was at the school when that phantom was there. But then she warned him about like the phantom. So I don't know, but that would be cool if she is, you know what I'm saying? Roman is the oldest son and the goody goody two shoes and like, the nerd and a bit of a kiss up. He is basically the jerk version of Justin from the later series. He's just so rude and arrogant and smug and everything. That is Justin in a handbag. Now, he mostly hangs around Billy. They mostly do everything together, similar to Alex and Justin. That one episode was interesting because remember I said him and Winter was friends and he kept saying, my Winter, you keep stealing her from me. It made me think he had a crush on her, but maybe he doesn't. I don't know. And so he is really enjoying this whole magical thing. Like, every time Billy does magic, he's like loving it. Or something he'll find out about magic, like the shirt. Where, the shirt episode with him having muscles and all of that, that was cool. Like, cause it reminded me of like the Smarty Pants episode and everything. And he got to have magic for one episode, so that was neat. So Milo is basically the youngest child, and he's basically the Max of the show, but he's smart. He's not like dumb. He's not smart like Justin, but he can figure some things out. He's mostly just the young kid role, like you see in so many Disney Channel shows. He's always in his own adventure. Sometimes he's the B or C plot of the show. He's a really cool and fun guy and everything. And I'm so glad they did not make him like Max. Max got on my nerves after a while by how dumb they made him. It was just unreal, unfathomable and everything. He was just like too dumb to function. And so he gets to go into the wizarding world like later, when he snuck in there. He just basically had a blast with the Wikipedia guy and everything, having a burping contest and, playing around with all the magical stuff, just all kind of cool stuff. It would be better if the sons had magic. I still don't remember why they don't have magic. I don't remember them skipping a generation with magic. But I guess that's what happened. It skipped a generation and the boys don't have magic. Yeah, it sets it apart from the original series, but you want them to have magic. You want them to have fun. You want them to screw up. You want them to try to save the day. You want them to help Billy, not just being there, but helping. You know what I'm saying? And then there's Winter. She is basically Harper in a handbasket, but she doesn't dress like Harper. But she's the best friend of both like Billy and that of like Roman. And she's very, very, very like hyper, very happy, very smiley, sarcastic. But she's not an entire Harper clone. She doesn't dress like her. She doesn't get scared of everything and run away. And I do like how she's in a bit more episodes and stuff. I think she's missing in 3 of the 9 episodes, which is okay for now. I don't know how it's going to be for the rest of the episodes. But, if you remember about the original, Harper would sporadically appear in the first season, Then she was missing for a good chunk of the second season. Then she came back in every episode after like the third and going on. And I think that's something Jennifer has like mentioned and everything, how she kept disappearing from like the show. So I'm glad they're not doing that here. As of now, Jennifer still is not scheduled to return. I read somewhere that the dude who plays Mason is supposed to return, but I can't find it on Wikipedia. It was like on an article I read somewhere. So, like with the cast, like I said before, they kept the whole trend of like a half Italian, half like Hispanic, Mexican like family. In the original series, there were more like Latinos than there were Italians. Here it's now flipped. Now there are more Italian stars than there are that of Latino. So far, only Milo is the only Latino actor, and the other three are like, Italian. And this is the most Italian stars that Disney Channel has ever had since I've been watching Disney Channel, and I've been watching it for a very long time. So this is really cool to see. And like, of course, the girl who plays Winter, she's black, and the girl who plays Billy, she's either black or half black. And so like I said before, this is the only Disney Channel show, well, two probably, that's never had a white star. All the other Disney Channel shows have had white stars, either as recurring or as the main cast. Saturdays, from what I remember watching, it was an all black cast. I don't remember there ever being like a white person on the show. But then again, I barely watched the first episode. I just couldn't get past it. Maybe there was a recurring one, but I doubt it. And every other one has had like a white star on there. And this is another show that hasn't. So Disney is stepping up its game with like diversity, and it's great. So I can't wait to watch like the rest of like the season. I can't wait for it to drop on Disney Plus, if I even still have Disney Plus at that time. But I do wish I'm hoping that we'll get to see more. I want to see a flashback of Justin being a teacher at Wiz Tech. I want flashbacks of Billy and how she got kicked out of those other schools. I can't wait for them to reveal who are these evil people that want to take her magic and everything. But then here's the thing. What if this whole her destined to save the world is only in the first season? Then what the second season gonna be like? Like, you know what I'm saying? So maybe this isn't the whole premise of like the show. Maybe they will shift into a different thing in the next season. If it gets the next season, that is. I think it will. It will be dumb of them not to renew this show. And, but it does make you wonder, how long are they going to do this thing with this evil organization and this and that? Personally, like I said before, I still think they should have just had this whole setting at Wiz Tech, Justin being the teacher, and then all these wizards and stuff like that. Make it Harry Potterish, you know what I'm saying? That's what they should have done. And like I said before, I could have went either way with the cast. I could have went with this show being about Justin and his family and his two sons being a wizard and no Billy. Or I could have went the other route where it's Billy and her family, who we've never seen, and they don't really mention her family at all in the show. So who the heck are they and everything? But I could have went that route with just being Billy, her family, and no Russos, you know what I'm saying? But of course, they wanted like somebody from the original series to tie it into the new one. So I am curious, who is her family and stuff? And why don't they have possession of their own daughter and everything? That's a real interesting thing. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.